Hey my loves, today I want to talk about a very important topic that is when you're moving identities and you're going into the quantum fields and you're understanding that you're becoming something else. It is so important to understand that there's a void that nobody really talks about, and the void between one identity and the other identity is actually when it's not, it is heart and mind coherence, but it's not heart and mind coherence with your conscious mind and your heart because the desire is already there. What is happening is actually it's heart and mind coherence with your subconscious. So your subconscious hasn't caught up with your heart and your mind yet. And so when you are moving into a new identity, you have to actually let go of an old identity, and your subconscious doesn't want to do that. So it keeps you safe, right? And what goes on also in the background, it's you're in the 0 point field of the void, and you have to be comfortable in the void. This is where you create. This is not where you lean in and you do more when you're in the transition period. And most of the time things fall apart in the transition period. Most of the time things fall away, or it's a very clear no, or it's a clear yes. And what happens when you do that is you're telling your subconscious mind that it's okay to move into the new identity. The more yeses that you say from your heart and your conscious mind. But the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, when they're not caught up with each other, what happens is often is the chaos or the falling apart of something. So something else is trying to come through you. And the desire is the end result. And I speak about this all the time, but the desire being the end result, meaning that your desire is already in existence and it's trying to come through you, but it's allowing you to move through the free will of becoming a different identity and knowing and understanding that when you become a different identity with many stages of who you become, it's like writing a different book. It's like writing a different story. It's like writing a different movie. And being, an executive producer in my world, what I do is I produce my life, and I'm the producer, the writer of my life. And now often there are times that my life is not exactly the way I want it to be, but it is because my subconscious beliefs, deep ingrained subconscious beliefs, are stored in your nervous system or your neural net pathways. And what happens in that space is your subconscious wants to keep the old identity, and your conscious and your heart want to be in alignment. And so when you're having this struggle or self-sabotage, or your nervous system is not regulated, what happens so often is that you feel defeated, or you feel like you have to hustle more, or you try really, really hard and then you fail. And so it's truly understanding that it is embodiment, and it's small choices that you're making constantly to becoming this new identity to move into the space so you have heart and mind coherence. And now you can quantum leap immediately, right? And I have times where I have quantum leaps, and then I've had times where I'm working through something. And so you have to be soft and kind with yourself, because your subconscious mind is your inner child, and it is the trauma that you have had since you are a small child. And so you're working with a small child who's no longer in charge of your life, but thinks that if they're throwing a tantrum, that would be okay. Or you're working with your adult brain, right? And so I often say that the ego and the consciousness are, the ego is your inner child and your consciousness is your higher self. And you're always making choices from one of the two. You're either making choices from your ego, which is a younger version of you or immature version of you, or your conscious mind. And so you have to embody, right? Thoughts become patterns, patterns become beliefs, and beliefs become your reality. You have to embody your new identity, and your subconscious and your conscious mind have to be in alignment. I promise you guys that if you start to do the inner work and you start to see results on the outside, it's going to start to say your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagination. And if you start to imagine yourself embodying in that space, now I know that so many people are talking about this in this day and age, but when you're in ego, you should never create from that space, guys. That is not creating the life of your dreams. So many people talk about manifestation, but what they don't talk about is understanding and knowing that the void is a necessity. It is the time to create. It's the time to lean back. It is a time to be in your inner feminine and then get inspired action in your outer masculine. And I promise you guys, when your subconscious is on board with your heart and your conscious mind, that is when you quantum leap. So I love you guys. And